In the US, you have these underwriters laboratories, and they were always concerned about people burning down their houses. They are basically a precondition for your insurance matters. And so they care a lot about flammability of products, so that they don't create a fire hazard in the use case.
So, as an engineer, someone with an engineering background, I do find that your personality, you're very personable. It seems like you can talk to any kind of people. You're not kind of this analytical thinker 100%. Have you found that your personality as somebody who understands all different kinds of people has actually helped to work with engineers, entrepreneurs, purchasing people?
That's the daily fun of my job. Because I'm dealing with all kinds of people all the time. That's true. And I'm really thankful that I was able to I'm allowed to do this. I mean, we all know the story about those software nerds.
I didn't want to be the one to say it, but if you said it, I'm not
sorry about that. Yeah, but they get the pizza shifted below the door into the room. Yeah. I studied electronic engineering. So when I was looking around the classroom and I see those 300 students that are studying with me, I'm asking myself, okay, who in the end spends more time communicating to a computer than to a human being? And I have to say I'm very thankful that I'm allowed to interact with human beings a lot more than with my computer screen.
Yeah, because just like we were talking about, the human element is still huge. It's not always about the the engineering aspect of it. So I'd like to ask you, can you describe the process of designing a special lighting all the way from the beginning, the design, to the manufacturing, to the delivery, and how this works?
Yeah, okay. So normally, you usually, because we are not, most of the things are somehow solved somehow. So normally you start from the status quo. You say, okay, what's done here? What's now? What is the situation? You try to make an assessment. And then the people say, okay, I would like to do this better, or that better, or cheaper to operate, or having something that's annoying I don't want to see anymore, or those kind of things. Okay, so you come up with a requirement spec that's based on the improvement from the current solution. That's the typical way. And then the next part is, because there might be conflicting requirements, I would ask the customer, okay, which requirement is more important and which one is less important to you? Mm. So to give it priorities. Yeah? Because you can't make the perfect product for the cheapest price. It's just not possible.
Right, there's a compromise.
Yeah, it's a compromise to be made. Okay. And every compromise is a little bit of an argument, right? And these arguments are necessary to be made. So I would say if nobody fights, the product is probably prone to fail. You need this conversation, this kind of assessment of decision making. Okay. Then, after you are clear what you want to achieve, you also have to consider the available technologies at that time. Yeah, I mean, maybe some time ago, OLED was very popular, right? On these OLED displays. They seem to disappear more and more now. Why? Because they don't have the lifetime and don't have the size, and other parameters were more important than that. They were very brilliant, but they didn't meet the average Joe's actual needs. So then you select the technology to do this. And then you try to come to a first prototype, which you test against your specifications. And then you may find some unknown issues that you were not aware of. And then comes the improvement process until you reach a result which you think is ready for sale. And then you make a design freeze. Design freeze is very important because from the good prototype to a serial product that you can put into a production line, that's a process in itself. You have to think about the testing, about the problems that could occur during serial manufacturing, how you detect them, how you avoid them. Toolings for the housings take time to build. Enclosures, whether they are metal or plastic, need to be made, need to be painted surfaces. As a human being, we often pay more attention to the outside look of a product than actual the feature. So we were saying like a great product, mediocrely packed, sells worse than a mediocre product well packed.
Yeah, that's when the marketing comes into play. Yeah.
Yes. So especially when it comes to all these cosmetic parameters, that's a whole development in itself.
You mean the actual design of the product, not only the engineering?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And also about the consistency of the surface, the touch, the feel, the how it looks like, how heavy a product is very important. We perceive a light product as a cheap product.
Right.
Yeah. And even though it is not necessarily the case, but our psychology is just built like that.
Right. If it's heavy, it must be good.
Yes.
Durable.
Durable. Although that's not necessarily the case, but that's like how we are wired. And those things have to be taken into account. And you have marketing people, you have industrial design people that come up with impossible designs to manufacture. Then you have the people that from manufacturing, they want to change something so they can pack it, put together very quickly, but doesn't necessarily look good. So you have all these conflicts. The fun part, the everyday fun of it. Yeah. And then you need entrepreneurs that actually make decisions.
Are you saying there are some entrepreneurs who don't make decisions?
Yes.
Can you explain?
Postponing, trying to discuss, but not trying to maybe hurt somebody's feeling. But as an entrepreneur, you need to make decisions. You cannot not make decisions. I have to make decisions every day, every single day, tens, 100 times, every day. And you know your decision may not be perfect, but there are quite some people that are afraid of making the wrong decisions and rather make no decision. But no decision is definitely the wrong decision.
Right. So do you think this comes from this fear of making the wrong decision?
Yes. And of course, everybody makes mistakes. It's part of it. I made it. But I make a lot of mistakes every day. And you need to understand that you have to make mistakes to learn.
Right.
So that's why I'm always saying, like, don't be afraid of making a mistake, but try not to make the same mistake twice or 3 times.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a challenge. So you get the requirement sheet. You have a discussion with the customer about what are the compromises we can work with. What is something that we cannot compromise?
Yeah.
Hopefully, how long does this process usually take where you could actually get the requirement sheet set?
This depends on the business model itself and also on the expertise of the customer in a specific market. Can be very fast, can be slow. But often the windows of opportunities are not that big.
Yeah,
One of the bigger challenges that I see, especially from those people that are not in a particular market field for longer, they see an opportunity, but the window of opportunity is shorter than the time it takes from taking this idea to manufacture a product. By the time you're going through, you already lost that window of opportunity.
Right.
So the opportunity now is not necessarily good to chase unless you can pick up something very quickly, but often it's not like this, and it takes 6 months to a year to really make something from nothing to serial production.
So once you narrow down the requirements, what's the next step after that?
Then you need to find somebody who makes the design.
Typically, who are the people that are responsible for this? They're outsourced or they're inside the
Yeah,
company?
we have a lot of design companies that are just focused on industrial design. We have companies that have the ability to make the inner design, like doing the PCB board design, or the mechanical features, the things. that's the combination of or it's in-house expertise at our customers, or it's in-house of our side. Just yesterday we discussed the casing design for some new product, and then that takes maybe 30 to 40 days to come to something with some iterations, some interaction. But this really depends on how well the customer set up and who's involved. I mean, this, and then comes the next one is that you have to need a design review regarding regulatory requirements. Especially in the US, you have this UL, Underwriters Laboratories, and they were always concerned about people burning down their houses.
So this is like a third party.
Yes, it's a safety regulation.
Safety regulation.
And the Underwriters Laboratory, they are basically a precondition for your insurance matters. And so they care a lot about flammability of products so that they don't create a fire hazard in the use case. And that comes down to materials you're allowed to use, a minimum thickness of materials, minimum spacings you need, isolation distances. So you have to adhere by a lot of regulations, and that takes experienced engineers to consider.
Right.
Yeah.
And these experienced engineers, typically, where would they come from the in-house of the company?
They come from either from the design company, they can come from the manufacturer, they can come partially from us. You would have to bring them in, and as I say, they may not be so communicative.
Mm.
Some people have the indication to tell you this wrong, that wrong, this wrong, instead of saying, maybe we could do it this way to make sure that we meet that regulation without impacting your thing. It's a different attitude.
So your team kind of guides this conversation and figures
We are moderating it a lot because, as I say, there are always conflicts here and there until you get it right. And that's why I believe when I go into a shop and I see those products, when I look at the product, I think, wow, how many people have thought about this until it came down to that result that you see in the shop. There must have been lots of people having discussions about it and how to which compromise to take and whatever.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's impossible for you to walk into an electronics shop and not think in this way, whereas the rest of us, we just say, oh, look, it's red, I like it.
Mm-hmm. This was another joke when I was working for one of the biggest lighting companies. They say, how do you detect people that are passionate for lighting?
Mm-hmm.
They go into the shop like this. You keep looking at the lamp. While your girlfriend may look at the clothes, the guy looks at the lamp.
Yeah. Well, it's very interesting because most people have no idea what goes into the work that goes into building products, electronics, special lighting. We take it for granted, especially because sometimes the designs look so neat and perfect and clean. But then, this is a very long, iterative process that you're talking about here.
Yeah. And I think we should appreciate people that actually do this. And I think a lot of these people also sit here on this island in Taiwan.
Yeah, well, this is one of Taiwan's specialties, special lighting. Yeah,
absolutely. No, yeah, it's also in computers. I mean,
computers.
It's mechanical. It's any kind of electronic product or any kind of product. One way or the other is dealing with these kind of internal conflicts.
Okay, great. Thanks, Florian.
Thank you, Michael.
So see you in the next one.